Part 1. The Invisible Trap. How digital overwhelm hijacks your brain. Right now, as you're watching this video, your brain is fighting a war you didn't even know existed. And you're losing. You wake up with big plans. You're going to crush that project, hit the gym, finally start that side business. But by noon, you're scrolling through your phone, feeling like a failure, wondering why you can't just do the things you know you should do. Here's what nobody tells you. It's not your fault. Your motivation isn't broken. Your willpower isn't weak. You're fighting against a system specifically designed to capture and monetize your attention. Every notification, every red badge, every infinite scroll is engineered by teams of neuroscientists and behavioral psychologists whose job is to make you addicted. They call it engagement, but what they're really doing is hijacking your dopamine system, the same system that's supposed to reward you for achieving goals, for completing tasks, for making progress in your life. Think about it. When was the last time you felt that rush of accomplishment from finishing a project? Now compare that to the micro hits of pleasure you get from likes, comments, and shares. Your brain can't tell the difference. It thinks scrolling through social media is productive work. It thinks consuming content is the same as creating value. This is why you can spend 3 hours watching productivity videos and feel exhausted afterward. Your brain thinks it accomplished something, but your reality remains unchanged. You've been tricked into confusing consumption with action, entertainment with achievement. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day. That's once every 10 minutes during waking hours. Each time you check, you're interrupting your focus, fragmenting your attention, and training your brain to crave instant gratification instead of delayed rewards. But here's the kicker. The platforms know this. They track your engagement patterns, your scroll speed, your pause duration. They know exactly when you're most vulnerable, when your willpower is lowest, when you're most likely to fall into the scroll trap. And they use this data to optimize their algorithms to keep you hooked. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This is documented business strategy. Former tech executives have gone on record explaining how they deliberately designed these platforms to be addictive. They've created what researcher Adam Alter calls behavioral addiction, a compulsion that doesn't involve substances, but hijacks your brain's reward system just as effectively. The result? Your attention span has shrunk from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds today. You're less able to focus on deep work, less capable of sustained effort, and more prone to procrastination than any generation in human history. Your motivation isn't failing you. Your environment is sabotaging you. And until you understand this fundamental truth, you'll keep blaming yourself for a problem that was engineered by others. The digital world has turned your brain into a slot machine, constantly pulling the lever, hoping for the next dopamine hit. But unlike a casino, you can't just walk away. These platforms are in your pocket, in your home, integrated into your work and social life. This is why traditional productivity advice fails. It assumes you're operating in a neutral environment, but you're not. You're trying to build focus in a world designed to destroy it. You're trying to cultivate patience in a system that rewards instant gratification. You're trying to develop discipline while being constantly interrupted by notifications designed to break your concentration. The first step to reclaiming your motivation isn't to try harder. It's to understand that you're not broken. The system is. And once you see the invisible trap, you can start to escape it. In the next part, we'll explore exactly how this digital manipulation works at the neurological level, and why your brain is so vulnerable to these engineered distractions. Because once you understand the science, you'll never look at your phone the same way again.
If this video is making sense to you, remember to subscribe to the channel. It helps us get better with every video.
The dopamine hijack. Why your brain craves. Digital distraction. Your brain wasn't designed for the digital age. It evolved over millions of years to survive in a world where dopamine was scarce and precious. When our ancestors found food, shelter, or a mate, their brains released dopamine to reinforce that behavior. This system worked perfectly for survival, but it's completely unprepared for the digital assault it faces today. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical most people think it is. It's the anticipation chemical. It's released not when you get the reward, but when you expect to get it. This is why the moment before you check your phone is more exciting than actually seeing the notification. Your brain is literally addicted to the possibility of reward, not the reward itself. Social media platforms exploit this by using what psychologists call variable ratio reinforcement schedules. This is the same mechanism that makes gambling so addictive. Sometimes you get a like, sometimes you don't. Sometimes there's an interesting post, sometimes there isn't. Your brain never knows when the next reward is coming, so it keeps you checking compulsively. But here's where it gets sinister. These platforms don't just hijack your existing dopamine pathways, they reshape them. Every time you get a notification, your brain releases a small hit of dopamine. Over time, your baseline dopamine levels drop, meaning you need more and more stimulation to feel normal. This is called tolerance, and it's the same mechanism behind drug addiction. The result is dopamine dysregulation. Your brain becomes so accustomed to the constant micro-rewards of digital stimulation that real-world activities, the ones that actually matter, feel boring and unrewarding. Reading a book, having a conversation, working on a project, these activities can't compete with the instant gratification of your phone. This explains why you can feel simultaneously overstimulated and undermotivated. Your dopamine system is flooded with artificial rewards, leaving you depleted for genuine accomplishment. It's like eating candy all day and then wondering why you're not hungry for a nutritious meal. The attention economy has turned your focus into a commodity. Every app, every website, every platform is competing for your most valuable resource, your attention. They've hired teams of neuroscientists, behavioral economists, and addiction specialists to make their products as compelling as possible. They study your behavior patterns, your emotional triggers, your psychological vulnerabilities. They know that uncertainty drives engagement, so they make notifications unpredictable. They know that social validation is powerful, so they gamify interactions with likes and shares. They know that fear of missing out motivates behavior, so they create artificial scarcity and urgency. The average smartphone user receives 80 notifications per day. Each one triggers a cortisol response, the same stress hormone released when you're in physical danger. Your brain interprets every buzz, every ping, every red badge as a potential threat that needs immediate attention. You're living in a constant state of low-level stress, always on edge, always reactive. This chronic stress doesn't just affect your mood, it literally changes your brain structure. The prefrontal cortex, responsible for executive function and self-control, becomes less active. Meanwhile, the limbic system, which governs impulses and emotions, becomes hyperactive. You become less capable of rational decision-making and more prone to impulsive behavior. Studies show that the mere presence of a smartphone reduces cognitive performance even when it's turned off. Your brain allocates mental resources to resist the urge to check it, leaving less capacity for the task at hand. This is called brain drain, and it's happening to millions of people every day. The technology companies know this. Internal documents from major platforms reveal that they deliberately design features to maximize time on device and user engagement. They track metrics like daily active users and session duration because their business model depends on capturing and monetizing your attention. Former Google design ethicist Tristan Harris calls this human downgrading. These technologies aren't just distracting us, they're making us less capable of deep thought, sustained attention, and meaningful connection. They're literally rewiring our brains to crave distraction and avoid the discomfort of focused work. Your motivation problems aren't a character flaw. They're the predictable result of a system designed to undermine your ability to focus on what matters. Understanding this isn't about blame, it's about empowerment. Once you see how the game is rigged, you can start playing by different rules. In the next part, we'll explore the hidden costs of this digital manipulation and why it's stealing more than just your time. Part 3. The hidden costs. What digital distraction is really stealing from you. Time isn't the only thing you're losing to digital distraction. The real cost is far more devastating, and most people don't realize it until it's too late. You're not just losing hours. You're losing your capacity for deep work, creative thinking, and meaningful relationships. You're losing the very abilities that make you human. Let's start with your attention span. Research from Microsoft shows that the average human attention span has dropped from 12 seconds in 2000 to 8 seconds today. That's shorter than a goldfish. But this isn't just about focusing on one thing. It's about your ability to think deeply about complex problems, to sit with discomfort, to push through challenges without seeking immediate relief. Deep work, the ability to focus without distraction on cognitively demanding tasks, is becoming a superpower in our economy. Yet most people have lost this ability entirely. They can't read a book without checking their phone. They can't have a conversation without glancing at notifications. They can't work on a project for more than a few minutes without seeking digital stimulation. This fragmented attention doesn't just make you less productive, it makes you less intelligent. When you constantly switch between tasks, your brain never enters the focused state necessary for complex problem solving. You become trapped in what researcher Linda Stone calls continuous partial attention, always monitoring, never fully present. The cost to your creativity is even more profound. Creativity requires boredom, empty spaces, moments of mental wandering. But we've eliminated these moments entirely. Every spare second is filled with digital stimulation. Standing in line? Check your phone. Waiting for coffee? Scroll through social media. Walking somewhere? Listen to a podcast. Your brain never gets the downtime it needs to make unexpected connections, to process experiences, to generate original ideas. The default mode network, the brain system responsible for creativity and insight, only activates during periods of rest. By constantly consuming content, you're literally preventing your brain from creating. This explains why you feel creatively blocked, why you struggle to come up with original ideas, why you feel like you're just going through the motions. Your brain has become a consumption machine instead of a creation engine. You're always inputting, never outputting. The social costs are equally devastating. Digital communication has replaced face-to-face interaction, but it's a poor substitute. Text messages lack emotional nuance. Social media connections are shallow and performative. Video calls are exhausting because they require more cognitive effort than in-person conversation. Studies show that people today have fewer close friends than any generation in history. Loneliness rates are at epidemic levels. Depression and anxiety are skyrocketing, especially among young people who grew up with smartphones. We're more connected than ever, yet more isolated than ever. The paradox is that digital platforms promise connection, but deliver isolation. They promise information, but deliver confusion. They promise entertainment, but deliver emptiness. You scroll for hours and feel worse afterward. You consume endless content but learn nothing meaningful. You interact with hundreds of people but feel understood by none. Your sleep is being destroyed. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin production, making it harder to fall asleep. But it's not just the light, it's the mental stimulation. Your brain needs time to wind down, to process the day's experiences, to prepare for rest. Instead, you're feeding it stimulating content right up until bedtime. Poor sleep doesn't just make you tired, it impairs every aspect of cognitive function. memory consolidation, emotional regulation, decision-making, immune function, all compromised by digital interference with your sleep cycle. You wake up groggy, reach for your phone for stimulation, and the cycle continues. Your ability to be present is vanishing. You're physically in one place, but mentally scattered across multiple digital environments. You're having dinner with family while thinking about work emails. You're in a meeting while mentally composing social media posts. You're never fully where you are. This constant mental fragmentation creates what psychologists call time poverty. The feeling that you never have enough time, even when you have plenty. You're so scattered that you can't fully engage with any single experience. Hours pass without meaningful memory formation. Days blur together in a haze of digital distraction. The economic costs are staggering. Knowledge workers lose an average of 2.1 hours per day to digital distractions. That's over 500 hours per year, more than 12 full work weeks. But it's not just the time lost, it's the quality of work that suffers. Distracted work is shallow work. It lacks the depth, creativity, and insight that create real value. You're not just losing productivity. You're losing your competitive advantage. In a world where everyone is distracted, the person who can focus deeply has an enormous edge. But instead of developing this superpower, you're giving it away to platforms that profit from your distraction. The most tragic cost is the loss of your authentic self. Constant digital stimulation prevents you from sitting with your own thoughts, from understanding your own desires, from developing your own opinions. You become a reflection of the content you consume rather than a unique individual with original ideas. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not lacking willpower. You're experiencing the predictable effects of a system designed to capture and monetize your attention. But awareness is the first step toward freedom. In our final part, we'll explore how to reclaim your attention, rebuild your focus, and restore your motivation in a world designed to destroy all three. Part 4. Breaking Free. How to reclaim your attention and rebuild your motivation. The good news is that your brain is remarkably plastic. The same neuroplasticity that allowed digital platforms to hijack your attention can be used to reclaim it. But this isn't about willpower or discipline. It's about creating systems that work with your brain's natural tendencies instead of against them. First, you need to understand that this is a design problem, not a character problem. You can't out-willpower a system designed by teams of neuroscientists. You need to redesign your environment to support focus instead of destroying it. This means treating your attention like the precious resource it is and protecting it accordingly. Start with your phone, the primary weapon in the war against your attention. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Every ping is an interruption. Every buzz is a cognitive switch that costs you focus. Keep only the notifications that represent genuine emergencies. Everything else can wait. Create physical barriers between you and distraction. Put your phone in another room when you're working. Use a physical alarm clock instead of your phone so you don't start and end your day with digital stimulation. Make checking social media require effort. Log out of apps. Delete them from your home screen. Use website blockers during work hours. The key is to make distraction harder and focus easier. Your brain will always choose the path of least resistance. If checking your phone requires walking to another room, you'll do it less often. If opening a book is easier than opening social media, you'll read more. Small friction creates big changes in behavior. Rebuild your dopamine sensitivity through what researchers call dopamine fasting. This doesn't mean avoiding all pleasure. It means reducing artificial stimulation so your brain can recalibrate. Spend time in nature without your phone. Read physical books. Have conversations without digital devices present. Let yourself be bored. Boredom is not the enemy. It's the birthplace of creativity and self-reflection. When you eliminate the constant input of digital stimulation, your brain starts generating its own content. Ideas emerge, solutions appear. You remember who you are beneath the digital noise. Create sacred spaces and times that are completely device-free. Your bedroom should be a sanctuary for rest, not a command center for digital consumption. Your dining table should be a place for conversation and nourishment, not multitasking and distraction. Protect these spaces fiercely. Develop what Cal Newport calls deep work rituals. Set specific times for focused work, and protect them like important meetings. Start with short periods. Even 25 minutes of uninterrupted focus is valuable. Gradually increase the duration as your attention span rebuilds. Your brain is like a muscle. It needs progressive training to regain strength. Replace digital habits with analog alternatives. Instead of scrolling through news feeds, read a physical newspaper or magazine. Instead of watching YouTube videos, listen to podcasts while walking. Instead of social media, call a friend. The goal isn't to eliminate all digital tools. It's to use them intentionally rather than compulsively. Practice single-tasking religiously. Multitasking is a myth. Your brain is actually task-switching, which creates cognitive overhead and reduces performance. Do one thing at a time with full attention. Close unnecessary browser tabs. Put your phone in airplane mode during important tasks. Train your brain to focus deeply on one thing. Understand that the discomfort you feel when you first reduce digital stimulation is withdrawal, not weakness. Your brain has become accustomed to constant dopamine hits, and it will protest when you remove them. This is temporary. The discomfort fades as your brain recalibrates to find satisfaction in real-world activities. Create positive feedback loops for focused work. Track your deep work hours. Celebrate completing projects without distraction. Notice how much better you feel after a day of focused work versus a day of scattered attention. Your brain needs to relearn that sustained effort leads to genuine satisfaction. Build real-world communities and relationships. Digital connections can't replace face-to-face interaction. Join clubs, attend events, have regular phone calls with friends and family. The social validation you seek online is a pale substitute for genuine human connection. Invest in relationships that exist beyond screens. Develop a morning routine that doesn't involve digital devices. How you start your day sets the tone for everything that follows. Instead of immediately checking your phone, try meditation, journaling, exercise, or reading. Give your brain time to wake up naturally instead of shocking it with digital stimulation. Remember that this is a gradual process. You didn't develop these habits overnight, and you won't change them overnight. Start with small changes and build momentum. Success breeds success. Each moment of reclaimed attention makes the next one easier. The ultimate goal isn't to become a digital hermit, it's to become intentional about your relationship with technology. Use digital tools to enhance your life, not escape from it. Let technology serve your goals instead of hijacking them. Your motivation isn't broken. Your attention isn't permanently damaged. Your willpower isn't weak. You've been fighting a rigged game, but now you know the rules. You can choose to play differently. You can reclaim your focus, rebuild your motivation, and create the life you actually want instead of the one that's been designed for you. The digital world will continue trying to capture your attention, but now you have the knowledge and tools to protect what matters most. Your ability to think deeply, create meaningfully, and live intentionally. Your attention is your life. It's time to take it back.